So this is the main sessions with me, Joseph Parton, and today I'm going to be talking to Zuleya Abdullah. Is that the name?
Yes, it is.
Okay, so I'm going to be talking to Zuleya Dobia Abdullah, and we're going to be having a very interesting conversation. So if you're youth and you're home and you want to go into tech, you want to go into development, you have to listen to Zuleya because she's a genius in the space. Zuleya, how are you doing?
I'm doing awesome. How are you doing? Thanks for having me.
It's an honor. I'm great as well. So Zuleya, in few minutes, I want you to tell us about yourself.
Okay. When somebody tells me to tell the person about myself, I always struggle because it's a lot. But basically, my name is Zuleya Dobia Abdullah, like you mentioned. I'm the founder for Developer. What I do and what I'm passionate about is to spread technology across the youth, especially in women. Over the years, I have built competence in development and making sure that I am a tech person. I've realized that the youth in Africa do not really know a lot about tech, especially when it comes to women. And so I am on a mission to empower 1 million girls in tech across Africa, starting in Ghana. And then I'm also enthusiastic about leadership and entrepreneurship, especially in the youth. And so over the years, that's what I've been doing through my organization called Developer. Aside that, I work as an auditor too, with an audit firm. And I speak at various conferences and all the events that get to invite me to speak about tech and also to expose what we, the youth in Ghana especially, are built of. And then we are looking forward to doing a lot in the future. So that's basically what I do. And that's just a brief introduction about me. Thank you.
That's very interesting to know. Now, Zuleya, I think that for the past years, you've been working on Developer. How is Developer going so far?
It's amazing. It's been 6 years now. We have the privilege of saying that we've reached over 6,000 girls and women and youth. We've trained them in digital marketing, computing, introduction to computer. We have some girls who don't know how to use a computer, and we've been able to teach them even how to boot the computer. We have the coding classes. We have the AI classes. Aside that, we also empower entrepreneurs. So we have the Developer Business Incubator where we get entrepreneurs to come, teach them how to build a business, and then help them to be able to get funding as and when they need. We also like to build our girls' leadership because we realize that in this generation, the generations in front, it's not all about your competence. It's also about you positioning yourself as a leader of the future. And so we also have the leadership summits that we do by inviting various leaders from across different corporate organizations and then letting them impact leadership skills in the girls that we do. So Developer has been doing awesome. We've had the opportunity to be funded and partnered with a lot of organizations, including the Youth Mobilization Fund by the EU. We have KGL Foundation also doing a lot. We have Stanbic Incubator also doing a lot, and other NGOs and also corporate bodies. For the past 6 years, we've been able to do that, and through this organization, I've also had the opportunity to fly around. I'm privileged to even say that I'm currently in Uganda going to speak at an AI conference because of the work and the impact we've done with developers so far. So it's been an amazing run. We are looking forward to still being able to impact in more girls, women, and the youth in Africa and across the globe, one community at a time and one step at a time. And so it's been quite a journey. It's been an exciting one, and I am privileged to be the one leading the whole team in doing that.
Now, I must comment that you've done a great job with Developer because you've built a journey into software developing and then also funding Developer. Now, I believe that before you went into technology, you were doing something else, right?
I mean, I've been doing tech all my life.
You've been doing tech all your life?
I went to school. I had my degree in computing with accounting. And I have a master's in computer science. I started working. Okay, so maybe you mean like, yeah, I think everything I've been doing has been tech. I have a little bit of media exposure, hosting and producing shows, but it's always been centered around tech, business, and everything. Yeah.
Okay, so Zuleya, what is that turning point that made you realize technology can be a tool of change for you?
I think it was after I completed university. After I completed university, and then I was now looking for a job. I was now trying to understand the Ghanaian ecosystem. And I just realized that I had a tool in my hand. I started reading a lot online too. And I realized that there was limited women in tech. And so I was like, why are there limited women in tech? And I started delving into it. And I realized that no, I have a skill that it's amazing that I could really push out. That was a turning point for me. I noticed that a lot of women were just running away from tech, and I was like, okay, if you're running away from this, I think I have to stay and then be the Messiah to preach the gospel about tech. So the turning point for me was when I completed university, and I realized that for us to build a future in Ghana, for us to build a community that really is problem solving and not relying so much on people trying to help us all the time, tech is the main tool for us because it gives you the opportunity to do so many things to solve community problems, and its opportunities are so enormous. So that's actually the turning point for me.
Okay, now a lot of African youth, because we're going into African Youth Day, a lot of African youth suffer with self-doubts. They want to take a step, but then they don't even know how to take the step. Their confidence level is very low. How would you advise a young African to develop their confidence or to grow their confidence?
The first thing I'll say is every achiever you know has that. I mean, I've not met anyone that is doing awesome that hasn't told me that they have imposter syndrome, and that's what they call it, imposter syndrome. Sometimes you see yourself and you know you're capable of doing certain things, but just when you're about to take the step, you're like, what if I fail? What if I'm not able to achieve it? What if I'm not able to do this? And that imposter syndrome, if you allow it to eat you up, it's just going to make sure you don't do anything at all. And so my advice to anyone doing this is that everyone that you see that has achieved something has imposter syndrome. Whether they tell you or they don't tell you, all of them have self-doubt. All of them have the points where they are like, oh, wait, I can't do it. I always tell people when I'm talking to them that every time I'm about to talk or every time I'm about to give a speech, I get nervous. I feel, what if I make mistakes? Even before we started this call, I was like, what if I'm not able to answer the questions correctly? But then I had to snap out of it because at every particular point in time, you need to know that you are who you are because of your competence. And that's why I always advocate that if you want to be confident in everything that you do, if you want to be able to shut down the self-doubt and the imposter syndrome that you feel every time, is that you need to be an accomplished person and also build your competence. The only reason why you're doubting yourself is because you haven't really studied enough or you've not really built your skill enough. I always use this example. Every time you're going to an exam room and you know that you've really studied all the topics, you really understand the subject matter, you are always confident. But when you know very well inwardly that you really didn't study well, or you didn't complete all the courses, you'll be like, okay, what if I can't answer the questions? It's the same way with achieving, it's the same way with doing things. If you're able to build your skill to a certain level, even if it's 50%, you have a certain level of confidence that you'll be able to snap out of it because you know that you're able to navigate. But when you don't build your confidence because you don't have a lot of competency, then you'll be doubting yourself all the time. You find yourself doubting. And so every time I have the opportunity to speak to a youth, I'll tell the person that, look, self-doubt and imposter syndrome is normal. The only way to curl it, to tone it down, and to make it vanish or disappear in the long run is always to build your competence. I'm speaking here because I've been building this confidence over the years, speaking at various organizations, various events, different types of crowd. And so I don't shiver when I have to speak to people because I know I'm good at speaking to some extent. I might not be an excellent speaker, but at least I know that I have an intermediate level of speaking engagement. So I am confident when I'm talking. And that's the same way you have to translate it with everything, every other thing you're doing. You would only be able to tone down the self-doubt and this imposter syndrome when you build your skill set around that particular area, around that particular topic. And so the only thing I'll tell you is build your confidence by building your skill when, as and when. And always remember that you are in a position to learn. Look, you should know that you are not an encyclopedia of all the knowledge in the world. Every person is learning always and all the time. And that's one thing I love about tech, because it always keeps me on my toes. Every particular point in time, I need to be reading about the latest thing in tech. And so I'm always on my toes. I'm always grounded, and I'm always understanding that I will not be good at everything, but at least if I keep my mind to it and I'm always learning, I'll still be good at a particular level. And so the self-doubt and the imposter syndrome only comes when you are lacking the skill, when you feel like, okay, I'm not really good or really skilled in this particular area. But if you are good, you're good to go.
Okay.
Yeah.
In the 6 years of developer, you've helped empower over 6,000 Africans. Now, with that 6 years experience, what are the key qualities that you're going to say makes African innovators stand out?
Number one, confidence. Very important. Number two, knowing where we are from. One thing I've realized in my my journey is that I've realized that Africans love community. And so you see people building in a community sense, thinking about their community. And so this the second thing that I think I've learned over the years. The third thing I've learned is that with research and all the statistics that I keep on reading, is that the African youth are going to take over the world in a few years. When you look at the statistics, we own the number of youths that are going to be springing up in the next 10 to 15 years. And so we have the human capacity, we have the human capital. And then the fourth thing is the knowledge. We are always in a position to always want to learn, because everybody has it in their mind that, okay, Africans are lacking behind. And so at every particular point in time, you see the African youth always trying to build competence. From statistics, I realized that I'm going to jet us females because I am mostly vested in that. Mackenzie just came out with a report, and it showed that we are producing a lot of female graduates in tech, and which is amazing, because previous years we weren't having that. But that should tell you that one of the things that Africans are also doing, especially even with the women, is that we are building competence and we are building our knowledge base, and we are trying to compete globally. And so these are the qualities that I've seen that we are actually picking up rapidly. Leadership is also something that we are also building. I see that a lot of us are actually daring to be different and daring to compete on a global stage with other people, which is impressive, and which is actually something I've learned through the work that I'm doing with developer over the past 6 years. Yeah.
So you made mention of an interesting point where you said Africans are trying to close the gap.
Yeah.
Now, I want to ask, we lack a lot of instruments, or we lack a lot of resources in Africa. We don't have access to resources in Africa. So as a young African, I want to become a tech savvy like Zulea. How do I identify a bold innovation?
So I have a quote I always say, that a girl in the village can be the next big 10 in tech if she's given the right tools, education, and resources. And which is actually a very important aspect of where we find ourselves in Africa. Truth be told, the resources are very limited. The people who are able to get certain resources are from the privileged backgrounds. But the hack now is that we have a lot of people that are trying to do well, especially if you're a woman and you want to be in tech. Just reach out to developer, because we have in-house laptops we always give out when we have a training. And from there, when you're building the competency and you're able to get some of these resources, it helps you to be able to expand. So let's say you are a youth in Africa and you want to get into tech. Just reach out to all the incubators and then the firms that are doing free education on tech. It's just about reaching out to them. That's the first step. When you reach out to them, they have the opportunity to expose you to a network, a plethora of networks that will also help you build from there. I know in Nigeria, we have this organization called She Code Africa that give out free laptops. I wish developer was in the position to be able to do that. But I think they're also doing that for even Ghanaian youth and African youth. So there are lots of organizations that are really, really doing well to actually help the youth in Africa. The only thing you need to do is keep your eye out for some of these organizations. And if you don't have some, just come online. A lot of us actually have smartphones now. And how are you using your smartphone? What are you using YouTube for? Are you going on YouTube and just listening to the latest music, or you're going going on YouTube to be able to learn something. I learned some of the most important languages that I use in coding from YouTube. Every time I'm coding, I'm always on YouTube because there's always a new way of doing things. I'm always learning from YouTube. So what are you using your mobile phone for? If you're using it for just games, for just TikTok, for just social media, then you are lacking behind, because some of us are really using it to build our competence. So one thing I'll tell you is that yes, you might be limited in resources, but there are a lot of organizations that are willing to help. If you're a girl, reach out to developer. You get an in-house laptop to be able to learn. You get a mentor who will be able to support you. We have mentors, we have sponsors. A sponsor is somebody who would be able to put you up and tell you, okay, maybe go to this person for this resource, so go to that person for these resources. These are the things that we are doing in Africa now. And I'm not going to sit here and say we don't have that. We have a lot of organizations that are actually doing that. I can count up to 10 organizations that are doing awesome work in Ghana alone, not to talk about Africa. And so we are in an era where everybody is willing to help. We have organizations that are willing to give out donors and funds and grants to some of these organizations. The only thing is that, are these organizations really doing or using the money to do what they say they are going to use to do? That's a question for another day. But I know that we have a lot of organizations that are willing to pick up the African youth and also ensure that, look, within this time, we want to empower. Like, Developer has a mission. Within the next 10 years, we want to be able to empower 1 million girls in technology. So what if you're a girl and you're sitting out there? Why don't you include yourself in the 1 million girls we are trying to empower? Reach out to us. We will definitely be able to guide you in be able to being a tech person or a developer in a few years to come. And so the resources are there, but it's hidden in organizations. Just reach out to them. Yeah.
I think in the previous years, the ladies in tech were not many, but now we must applaud them and say a lot of ladies are getting themselves into tech.
I agree.
Yes. What is that thing we have to change in our homes, schools, and communities to make ladies also see tech as their space?
Somebody, the Gen Z, to say, I am sat for this conversation. I am really sat for this question, because that is actually some of the things that we actually face. I mean, I had the opportunity to actually speak at the International Day of the Girl Child in October, just about 2 weeks ago. That was 11th October. It was 10th because 11th October was a Saturday. So we had to push it on 10th. That was a Friday before the day. And I was speaking to one of the girls who was in JSS2, who is in JSS2, JSS3, ready to write her BEC. And she was struggling with math. And I told her that, why are you struggling with math? She was like, oh, I feel it's difficult. I'm like, you think it's difficult because you've not spent time on it? I was like, do you have a personal timetable? She was like, no. I was like, okay, let me help you draw a personal timetable so that when you get home, you'll be able to study. She was like, Auntie Zuzu, the thing is that when I get home, I need to wash bowls and I need to help mommy in the kitchen. And the time I'll finish helping mommy in the kitchen, I get so tired and I sleep. And I'm like, the number of women or the number of girls you hear saying that line tells you the things that we face as women in African homes. Another statistics that is out there is that women who are even in tech tend to fall out of tech after they get married and they have kids. I'm currently married with 2 children, and I still code because I think that I have the support system at home that allows me to do certain things. I am currently in Uganda leaving my baby with my mom, but it is a woman who is taking care of the baby, which is my mom, and I'm in Uganda. So you see that when we have a conversation about women in tech and even women in other tech, how do I say, career paths, one of the things that limits us is the whole domestic and unpaid labor that we go through. It's not easy to be able to find help nowadays. And even if you do, the way we are wired is that we are in the caring nature and always nurturing. And so you start thinking, is this person taking care of my child well as the person is supposed to? And so these things limit the number of times and number of concentration that we'll be able to give to our work and our jobs. If you are in tech and you've been in tech for a very long time, you know that we code for hours. When I sit behind the laptop, I code for hours. And just imagine being a nursing mother and then coding for hours. You get distracted at a particular point in time because you'd have to nurse the baby here and there, breastfeed here and there. And so it limits our productivity to a certain level. But that does not make me relent. But then I know there are other women out there who feel frustrated because maybe they have to do it alone. So the things that we have to change in our schools, in our workplaces, in our homes is that we have to understand that women are supposed to also build careers. Yes, you would ask the question that who should do the the chores in the house. But that's a conversation we need to have, that it has to be a shared and a give and take conversation. If you have a wife, you have to help her when you come back from work. You don't expect her to also come back from work and do all the work. At least you have to also help in a particular way to also release the burden or ease the burden. If you have a girl child, she doesn't have to always come back from work, from school, and go straight to the kitchen, when your boy child would be sitting behind the TV or behind the computer playing video games, and she has to do all the work. So these are conversations we really need to have. And personally, when I'm in my work environment, I've had that all the time. And we're about to have a meeting. You see the men telling me, and I'm mostly the only girl in the space, Zuleha, take the notes. You be the secretary of the meeting. Why should I be the secretary of the meeting? Because I'm a girl? Because you want me to be writing? If I am writing, I'm going to be concentrating on writing, that I won't have time to be able to contribute. And so I tell them that, look, I'm not good at writing, even though I think I'm very good at writing. But I would always say, I'm not so good at writing. Can the guy actually pick up this? So that when somebody else is writing, I'm listening to what people are having or people are saying, and so I'm able to contribute. But if you are the reporter in that meeting and you are writing, you need to be careful, because you might not be able to pick up what other people are saying. And so I always refuse to write. And it's some of the things that we find ourselves. If you're a Ghanaian and you're listening to me, I think it's even an African thing, and you're having a meeting at work or you're having an event, mostly when it's time for us to share the goodies or when it's time for us to serve in the event, they're like, oh, okay, so the ladies should serve. Even when you are a woman and you are working, even at my workplace, I see that sometimes the bosses would want a cup of coffee or want a cup of tea. And who are they calling? They never call the men to get up and prepare a cup of tea for them. They always call a woman. When we have national service personnel in our various organizations, I rarely see them call the guys to come and serve them their food. It's mostly the female national service personnel that are supposed to serve them their food. So these are some of the things that we do, which is a cultural thing, which I understand that women are nurturing in nature, and then we have that zeal to always take care of everybody. But some of these things silently reduce our creativity, silently position us in a certain box that we think that maybe this is not for me or that is not for me. So these are things that we really, really need to change. I can see that I'm talking so much about it because I've actually always over the years had to face that. I mean, sometimes in developer, we have the best of candidates, like a woman or a girl applies with the perfect CV. She comes for the interview and you are blown away. And after a week or two, she's not coming to class. And you ask me like, my father says I shouldn't come because I'm spending so much time on the laptop, or my father doesn't think that I should buy a laptop because he thinks I'm spending so much time on the laptop. But I don't have a problem with guys going to play video games outside. You don't have a problem with the guys always on the computer all the time. So I mean, these are things that we really, really need to change. And it's a gradual process. Yes, I understand. But if we really want to build a human capital and to compete globally, like we want to on the international stage across the globe, the women need to also know that their place is not only in the kitchen or only doing the chores or only doing the domestic work, but it's also to build their competence, to build their skill set, to build their knowledge in tech, in finance, and in all other places. I was happy that a friend of mine shared a link with me today about a woman who's a Ghanaian woman. I think the name escaped me, who is now one of the powerful women in UK because she's managing the bank in UK, one of the big banks in UK. And she's one of the powerful women. This is what we are talking about. She's a Ghanaian. I don't think that her parents limited her to just the kitchen. If they did, she wouldn't be one of the powerful women currently in the UK and putting the Ghanaian name out there. And so our place is not just in the kitchen or doing the house chores or being limited to a certain level or a certain skill set or a certain career path because we are women. We are made for every other thing. I'm a woman, I'm in tech, and I'm breaking barriers. I'm traveling outside the country, doing this, doing that, because my parents have given me the opportunity to be able to do some of these things whilst building my knowledge and my skill set. I have the opportunity to be able to leave my child. I mean, some of them also feel that. I have a friend who texted me and asked me, where did you leave your baby when you were going to Uganda? I was like, I left him with my mom. And she was like, my husband doesn't want me to leave my baby with any other person. It's either I go with my baby or I don't go at all. I mean, I cannot be speaking. I can speak at conferences with my baby strapped up, but you just know how much that is limiting. Imagine giving a speech and your baby is crying. It's going to distract you. It's going to distract the audience. So don't get the import of whatever you were saying. And so this is what I'm saying, is that we've reached a level where we need to help the women understand that their place is not in just limited spaces, but every other place. Yeah.
Okay. Zuleya, I think when you come back to Ghana, I have to pick you up so that we'll have an extensive conversation on this in the studio. But I have some
Definitely.
rapid questions for you. So the
Okay.
first question, what's one book that changed the way you see innovation or leadership?
Lean startup.
Lead startup.
Lean
Startup.
startup. Yeah,
Okay.
it speaks about how some organizations or tech companies came about, what they did wrong, what they didn't do wrong, and how they moved from there.
Okay. The second question, if you could build one tech solution for Africa right now, what would it solve?
Access to resources. If you're in a village and then you want to be able to easily get resources, if I could have an app that would help match people who need resources to people who have the money to get them resources, that's something I would do.
Okay. My last question. I want you to finish this sentence for me.
Okay.
The next generation of African innovators must
build skill in tech, be open to leadership skills, and to remember that if we are going to solve African problems, we need to be able to compete globally. We need to build our skill set to be able to do that.
All right. Thank you very much, Zuleya, for joining me. But before you go, I would like you to give your African Youth Day message to every African who is watching us.
Okay. Hi, African youth. My name is Leha Dobia Abdullah. I am always happy to be able to speak to the youth because I think I'm a youth myself. As a woman, especially, I've been able to build my skill set in tech because I've always understood that knowledge is power, and power is what helps you to be able to contribute to your community and the country as a whole. And so if you find yourself in any country watching me, just remember that you need to build your skill set. You need to be educated to be powerful, and also leverage on the latest technologies, regardless of the career path you find yourself, and make sure that you are competing globally and just not limited to your community or your country. Thank you for having me. Happy Youth Day.